Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Sulekha Physics Classes. Myself Sulekha Sharma, and today I am going to explain you about scalar and vector form of Ohm's law. In the same time, we will also discuss about current density, and at last we will discuss about limitations of Ohm's law. But before going ahead with this video, you must be sure that you have watched all the videos till part 6. So now let us start with today's topic, scalar and vector form of Ohm's law. But before starting that one, you must know one important quantity that is called current density. You know about current. Current is a scalar quantity. But in physics, we need some quantity like current, which is vector, which represents direction of current. For that purpose, we use current density. It is denoted by capital J. Like in physics, if you want to show the direction of potential difference, in that case, we use electric field. Electric field is a vector quantity and it is equivalent to potential difference. It shows direction also. In the same way, current is a scalar quantity, and to show its direction, we use current density, which is a vector quantity. So what is current density? Suppose this is a conductor. Okay. And suppose some external source is connected to this conductor and current starts flowing. Okay, so current is flowing through this conductor in this direction. And suppose, let us take one small area of this conductor, suppose this one. So how much current is flowing through this particular area? That is nothing but current density. What amount of current is flowing through a particular area or point, and the direction of current density J is same as that of current. But one thing you must remember, this area and current flow both are normal to each other. Suppose this is area and current is flowing in this direction. So direction of current and this area is always held normal to each other, so that large amount of current flows through this point. Okay, so you can write current density in this way. Current density is current per unit area, and area provided this area is normal to the direction of current flow. You can say area is normal to the current flow, or you can use area vector also. What is area vector? Suppose this is area, okay, and area vector is always normal to area vector. So in terms of area vector, this area vector and current flow are always in the same direction. So current flow is always perpendicular to the area and along the area vector. Is it clear? And its SI unit is what? This I is ampere and this area is meter square. So its SI unit of current density is ampere meter square. And it is what type of quantity? Vector quantity. Okay. We discuss current density because it is used in when we talk about vector form of Ohm's law. After this, we will start scalar and vector form of Ohm's law. Okay. Now, first, scalar form of Ohm's law. Scalar form of Ohm's law. What is this? As we already discussed in part 5, that suppose this is a conductor, okay, and you connect conductor to some external source which provides potential difference to the ends of the conductor. Okay, when a potential difference is applied across these ends of the conductor, current starts flowing through this conductor, and the amount of current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference which is applied across these ends of the conductor. So you can say that V is proportional to I. The amount of current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor, but provided physical conditions remains constant. Physical conditions means what? Temperature, humidity, all these things remains constant. Otherwise, V is not proportional to I. And then V equal to, remove this proportionality constant, V equal to Ri. We already discussed, and this R is a constant called resistance of a conductor which exists inside the conductor. This is nothing but scalar form of Ohm's law. But how you prove this law? Okay. With this, to prove this law, we start with this current. What is the expression for current in terms of drift velocity? I equal to NEA VD, where VD is the drift velocity. And you know very well that what is VD? VD is nothing but E tau by M. M is the mass of electron, E is the charge of electron, E is the electric field which exists between the ends of the conductor, and tau is the relaxation time. When you put this value in this expression, this VD, this becomes I equal to NEA. In place of VD, you write E tau by M. And you know that relation between E and V. E and V, what is this? You know that E equal to what? You write this side, okay? E equal to V by L. So you write in place of E, you write V by L. Then I becomes what? And these two E square, okay? Then tau, in place of E, you write V by L, and one M is already here. So I becomes NE square tau V by ML. And you arrange these two equations, both sides, you write V by I, because we want V by I, which is some constant. So you write from this equation, this V by I becomes what? You take I this down, ML by NE square tau. Okay, so V by I becomes ML by NE square tau. And you know that when physical conditions, humidity, temperature, everything is constant for a particular conductor, this mass, M is the mass of electron, okay? Mass is constant, L is the length of the conductor, this is the length of the conductor. When no temperature change, no humidity is there, length is also constant. Then N is the number density, E is the charge of electron, tau is relaxation time. Okay, one more thing is missing there. I think A is missing here. Okay, this area. Then this becomes NE square tau A. Sorry. Okay, so V by I is ML by NE square tau A, and this whole term is constant for a particular conductor when physical conditions remains constant. Then you can write V by I, this is constant. It means whenever the amount of potential difference increases, this I also increases. V is proportional to I, provided the physical conditions remains constant, and this constant is called nothing but resistance of the conductor. Okay, and this is nothing but scalar form of Ohm's law. And when you draw a graph between V and I, you get what? When you plot a graph between V and I, you get a straight line passing through this origin. Okay, V is proportional to I, and the slope of this graph gives the value of R. This is about scalar form of Ohm's law, V equal to Ri. Next, now vector form of Ohm's law. Ohm's law. We want Ohm's law which is in vector form. You know a scalar form, already proved now, V equal to Ri. We want something here in place of V which represents direction of V. So we use E in place of V, and also in place of R we can use rho, and in place of I we use a vector what? Current density. So E equal to rho Z. This is nothing but vector form of Ohm's law. E is electric field, J is current density, rho is resistivity. Also one more thing, you heard this word conductivity. Conductivity is what? Conductivity is represented by the term sigma, and this is nothing but reciprocal of resistivity. So we can write this vector form of Ohm's law in another way also. E equal to what? This, in place of rho, you write 1 by sigma J. So this J equal to sigma E. This is also another vector form of Ohm's law. And how you prove this one? You can easily prove this one also. You know that in the last expression we got what? V by I. And V by I is what? ML by NE square tau A. Okay. Now rearrange this one. You take L this side. V by L. This becomes what? M I by N E square tau A. Okay. And you know that V by L is what? V by L is electric field. Okay. And M by N E square tau. Resistivity, in the last video we discussed about resistivity. This is the expression for nothing but resistivity. What? V by this one, this is resistivity, M by N E square tau A. Okay, and this becomes rho, and I by A is what? Current density. So you can write E equal to rho J, where you write this one, E is V by L, resistivity is M by N E square tau, and this J is what? Current density I by A. So easily you get this vector form of Ohm's law from this expression only, E equal to rho J. And in place of rho, you write in terms of conductivity also. So you get J equal to sigma E. These two are vector form of Ohm's law. And you know, when any conductor which obeys Ohm's law, you get a graph like this one. This is V and this is I. And those conductor which obeys Ohm's law are called ohmic conductor. So you can write ohmic conductor as ohmic conductor. There are two types of conductor. One is ohmic conductor. Ohmic conductor is those conductor which obeys Ohm's law. You can write which obeys or follow Ohm's law. Okay. And the graph for the ohmic conductor is always a linear straight line passing through the origin. Okay. If any conductor is ohmic, it always obeys Ohm's law. And another one is non-ohmic conductor. Non-ohmic conductor. Non-ohmic conductor, there are many examples like diode. Okay, you studied about diode in semiconductor chapter, second part of physics. Okay. Diode is non-ohmic conductor, those conductor which does not follow or obey Ohm's law. So graph is not linear. Graph is something change, like sometimes it linear, then it becomes like this one, curve type graph. It is not a linear graph. The best example for this one is diode. Okay, and some gases also which are non-ohmic conductor. So these examples comes under limitations of Ohm's law. Next we will discuss limitations of Ohm's law. Limitations of Ohm's law. There are some conductors which does not follow Ohm's law, like best example is behavior of diode, and which does not obey Ohm's law, that is called non-ohmic conductor. Diode, actually it is a device which allows unidirectional current to flow. You will study in detail about diode in the semiconductor chapter. Okay. Here the graph of this diode is like this one. Suppose I is this side and B is this side. Graph is some linear to this point, and after that it increases to this one. These are actually called forward bias, and current is always milliampere, and the graph, this is for linear biasing, and this one current is in microampere. So this graph is not linear. It means it does not obey Ohm's law. Graph is not linear. So these are some limitations of Ohm's law. Second one thing also, water voltmeter. In this case also graph is like this one. Okay. Suppose this side I and this side V. So graph is sometime when you increase the voltage, current remains 0, and after that it increases like this one. This straight line does not pass through the origin. It also not obeys Ohm's law. So these also comes under limitations of Ohm's law. And this type of material are called non-ohmic conductor. One more, gases. Gases also does not obey Ohm's law. In case of gas, graph is like this one. Sometimes first increases some linearly, then after that is this one. These are the graph for gases between I and V, and it also does not follow Ohm's law. So these are certain limitations of Ohm's law, and these type of materials, conductors, are called non-ohmic conductors. Okay students, these are about today's topic. In the next class, we will solve some numericals based on all these formulas which we already discussed. Okay, up to then, bye bye students. Take